So let's get back to brows. So you do the NanoBrows. Okay, so let's talk about, what needle do you like to use?
I kind of bounce around with all
Are you a
different types
single
of
needle
needles.
girl?
I am a single needle girl. I am. And I've always used the 1RL. And so now I'm trying to venture out into mags. So I'm trying to do a hair stroke with a mag.
Oh my
And that is
God.
what I have started out with. When I was first learning nanobrows, I started out with mags, just a straight mag, not a curved one. And so that's what I started out with. But I had Calgary's thickest hair strokes you have ever seen because I was not very good and I was first starting out and I was using a mag. And so I had Calgary's thickest hair strokes you have ever seen. And then I started to trickle down into a single needle. So my favorite is always a 1RL 0.25, but different brands will be different in the
Yeah.
thickness and the length and
Yeah,
everything like that.
yeah, of course, because in the needle industry, there's nothing really standard. Like you can have like a .30 and five different brands at .30 might be a little bit different,
Mhm.
and especially when it comes to tapers. Like there's
Yeah.
really no set standard, on taper length or a lot of the different aspects of needles. So even when you're doing ombre brows, you're a single needle girl.
I am. I use a 3RS or like a 5RS sometimes if
Yeah.
the skin is a little bit more complicated,
Okay.
a little bit more textured, a little bit more sensitive. Then I'll pull out my bigger shaders in order to compact that color, and then I'll go in with my last layer on like some finishing details with a
Right.
1RL again.
So how long does
Hmm.
it take you to do a shaded brow?
A shaded brow,
Yeah.
probably around 3.5 hours still,
Okay.
including the mapping.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
and
that's
that's a
better than
pain for
5.
nano.
It's better than five
Yeah,
hours.
I definitely moved up from being 5 hours to now 3.5. I'm pretty
That's
happy at 3.5.
that's funny. I think people, because I'm a big needle girl. I use like
Mhm.
7 and 8 shaders, and
Yeah.
I use mags a lot for all my areola work, my lip work. When I was doing a lot of body tattooing, it was all mags. But
Mhm.
I was never comfortable with a mag for eyebrows for whatever reason. I always liked the round.
Oh,
Yeah, I never really. I don't know. I didn't feel very fluid with it when it came to eyebrow
yeah.
work. I always really liked the round, larger shader configurations for brows. I started
Mhm.
on 3 liners, and then I moved up to
Mm.
5 round liners, and then maybe about my 6th year into PMU, I moved over. I got the nerve because I was scared to do it at first, but I got the nerve to move over into shaders, and I started with a 5 shader. Yeah, now like predominantly mostly 8 shaders. 7 and 8 shaders is what
Yeah.
I use. Yeah,
So how long does it take you with an 8 shader to
an
do a
hour and a
brow?
half. An hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, and that includes numbing time,
Yeah.
drawing, mapping, doing it's about 30 minutes of tattooing. Yeah, so about an hour and a
Holy
half.
moly.
Yeah, but that
That is
shader,
quick.
it is
Yeah.
quick, and it's quick because I'm not rushing or anything, but it's quick
Yeah.
because of the mere fact it picks up and implants so much more
Yeah.
pigment than the
Yeah.
smaller needles that it gets me done quickly, which is the upside to a bigger needle,
Mhm.
right? Implants, a lot of pigment, it gets the procedure done quickly. It's a
Mhm.
fantastic choice for oily, bleeding, resistant skin. The more
Yeah.
pigment you can get in on skin like that, the better off you are. But there's downsides to big needles too. You can't really get pixels with the big needles, and a lot of people
Oh.
like pixels. And you can oversaturate if you're not
Mm.
careful. So, like on older skin or really dry skin that takes pigment really good or maybe even a little too good, you have to be super careful if you're using a 7 or 8 shader because you could get a too solid of a heel. You could get
Oh.
too much. Yeah. So,
How do you change your technique then
I
based on?
I dilute my pigment on skin like that.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I will just dilute. So I don't jump down to a smaller needle. I will just
Mm.
stop and I'll dilute my pigment about 50-50. And
Oh,
yeah, because on that skin type, if I go in with full strength pigment with an 8 shader on skin that takes really, really good, I could end up implanting too much pigment. So
yeah,
yeah, so you have to
yeah.
be careful. There's the upside and downside to every single needle, every single
Hmm.
technique, everything,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like, what do you want to deal with or not deal with? So and every now
Mhm.
and then, Lily, I love 3 shaders. I'll get a 3 shader out and I'll whip out like the bulb of a brow.
Yeah.
Because you can get some pretty good pixels with a 3 shader, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
so yeah, I definitely get that out every now and then, but I'm not a single needle girl. I don't
In
really,
that,
no, I'm really not. I think the smallest I'll go down to is about a 3. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Being a single needle person, you have to have a lot of patience. And sometimes I don't even have that type of patience
yeah,
to
yeah.
shade a large brow with a single needle. I'm like, oh my gosh, when is this going to be done?
Yeah, yeah, you definitely got to have a lot of patience for sure. It's a certain type of personality that
Yeah.
enjoys sitting there for 3.5 hours, 4 hours with a single needle. When you know, you can just pop up that needle, put in an 8 shader, and finish it up and get down to the bar and have a margarita in an
That's how
hour.
I feel about lips, actually, because lips are so much more volume
Yeah.
and so different than brows. I feel that I am there for way too long. I don't have the patience for it sometimes. I'm just like, oh, I just need to get this finished.
So are you experimenting with bigger needles for your lips?
I have, but I don't know, maybe I'm not doing it correctly, but I wasn't a fan of the healed results with a mag for the lips. So that's why I stuck to one
All right,
again.
try like a 14 shader.
14
Yeah,
shader.
try a 14 shader. Some
Oh,
people don't, they just don't vibe well with like a mag, you know.
yeah.
But if you want to like keep trying, you know, with a larger needle, especially for larger lips, right?
Okay.
Yeah, like a 14 shader. Some people, I'll get people that are struggling with the mag on lips. I'll suggest they jump over and try like a 14 shader and try
Oh.
that. And some do really, really well with it. I have an artist here who was not doing well with the mag at all. And so I
Mhm.
brought in a 14 shader and she took to it very quickly. And all her lip work now is with a 14 shader. And so she gets it,
Wow.
but she still likes to do some lips with a single. It just kind of
Yeah.
depends. She likes to bounce back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some lips that are just so easy to do with a single needle, and then
Right.
there's some that just does not want to take pigment.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to try that.
And I think, would you agree? You're a single needle girl, so would you agree like clients that want like a lipstick look, they want
Yeah.
a lot of color, that is really difficult to achieve with a single needle. I think the single needle delivers and achieves like the blush look, the tint look
Yeah.
beautifully. But I don't know how well the single needle is to get like that lipstick look. I don't even know if you can. You know, it might be multiple sessions. I'm not really sure.
You would have to go pretty bright, I believe, in color,
Yeah,
and then at least two sessions, at least two,
2 sessions.
to get
Yeah,
that lipstick look.
right.
Yeah.
So with big needles, you
I
can
think
get that look, you know, rather quickly and rather easily. But
so.
on the
Mhm.
flip side, if you want a tint or a blush, you've got to dilute the pigment.
Oh, I
You
see.
see, yeah. So yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
kind of interesting, right? It's fun,
Yeah.
you know, all the different ways you know us artists can work and get to
Hmm.
the same beautiful results, you know, with different tools, different
Yeah.
techniques.